Today I'll be doing my long-awaited review of Creed's Green Irish Tweed. Let's talk about it. Hey friends, John here from Proverbs 27:9 Fragrances. And today I'm doing a review that's several years in the making, and that is from the House of Creed. It's Green Irish Tweed. If you would, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, notifications turned on, that way you're notified every time we upload this sweet smelling fragrance related content. So, why do I say long awaited review? Well, if you've been a fan of the channel for any length of time, then you know that I have had a love-hate relationship with the House of Creed. Love, because their fragrances smell really good. Hate, because their fragrances are very overpriced for the quality that you get now. And then also because they, I believe, as well as Gabe Oppenheim has laid out in his book, The Ghost Perfumer, that their entire lineage and success and everything is built on a bunch of lies, just some marketing mumbo jumbo. That the House of Creed does not go back as a perfumer to the 1700s or 1800s. They did not make perfumes for King George or Napoleon or Oscar Wilde or any of those, Francis Bacon, any of those guys. That they were a haberdasher. They made clothing, and they did do that in the early 1900s, possibly late 1800s. But they didn't start making fragrances until somewhere around the 1970s. Another thing that I did not like about it is, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but for many, many years, Olivier Creed, who is the actual, first person in the Creed family that is involved in perfume, even though on their card there's a picture of some very old looking guy and then Olivier Creed. But Olivier Creed's on there because that's where it started with him. He was just a marketing guy. He was just a real good salesman. But for many, many years, decades even, the real perfumer behind the Creed brand, Mr. Pierre Bourdon, received absolutely no credit and very little compensation for these creations. And so after, reading all that and understanding all that, I just said I'm not going to ever buy a Creed fragrance. But then after they were sold, first to BlackRock and now to the Kittering Group, I don't know if they're continuing that false marketing narrative, but at least they're not family owned by Olivier Creed anymore. And also, you can get their fragrances on discounted websites for reasonable prices, sub $200, which is still a lot of money for a bottle of, perfume. But due to those reasons, I bought my first Creed was a Viking cologne, and then my second Creed. When I'm talking about full bottles, I've had many, many different decants and samples. But as far as actually buying a bottle that would generate income for the brand, Viking cologne, and then Creed Aventus, and now Green Irish Tweed. So, Green Irish Tweed. Let me read you the marketing behind it. It says, by Creed is a classic fougere fragrance. I don't know that I would classify it as a fougere, but they do. That's fine. One of the signature scents of the House of Creed. This walk through the Irish countryside is a favorite of many celebrities. The fragrance is rich, fresh, sporty, and unforgettable. Green Irish Tweed opens with top notes of iris and lemon verbena. Middle notes include violet leaves. The base notes ambergris and Mysore sandalwood. So that gave you a little bit of the marketing as well as the notes. And so let me talk about. I'll show you the packaging and the bottle and all that, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the fragrance for a little bit. All right, let's look at the presentation for Green Irish Tweed. Here is the box. White with that nice kind of textured finish there, silver, gold and green on the crest. You've got the batch code and barcode. My batch code is A3219U01. Back has got French and English house information, nothing on the sides, and then your fake marketing stuff on the top as well. Comes with the little fake marketing little card. I'll talk about this stuff in the video here. You got this old Napoleon looking dude who is supposedly the original perfumer for Creed. And then Olivier Creed, the man who invented Green Irish Tweed. Can you believe it? I don't. But look at this beautiful bottle. Matte black finish on the most recent presentation for Green Irish Tweed. With that classic shape. This is the 1.750 ml bottle, made in France, gold on the top. The lid clicks in place and is very secure. Very nice presentation on Green Irish Tweed. So let's talk about Green Irish Tweed. First of all, I love the presentation, with all the Creed fragrances. I like it when a company has one bottle. A lot of people don't like that. They like each fragrance to have its own unique style and bottle, but I don't have a problem with doing the same bottle, different colors and things of that nature. I also like the matte black on the Green Irish Tweed. I believe that's new. I think it used to be in a clear bottle with green label, and they've went to the all black, matte black, and all that. Very classy. Let's talk about the scent. So it opens very bright, very fresh. It does have a sporty nature to it. As far as being a fougere, when I think of a fougere, I think of lavender and I think of shaving foam and those things. Now, those are what we mainly consider fougere. The word fougere means fern-like, and this is very green. It has lots of grassy feels to it. So it does, kind of take you on a journey down the Irish countryside and maybe even up to the shoreline, because that ambergris in the base gives it this kind of salty marine feel as well. The violet lends a bit of there's a tiny hint of a petrol vibe to it. Nothing like Fahrenheit, but there is a little bit of that petroleum thing, and then also there's a dustiness that comes from violet leaves, and it does smell dusty, and typically I don't like that, but in this fragrance it really gives it layers, because on one hand it's very fresh, soapy. Think of a very luxurious version of like an Irish Spring soap. But then on the other hand, you've got this kind of dusty, it makes me think of a tweed suit. I actually have my tweed jacket here. I just didn't see it and didn't put it on. But it makes me think of a tweed suit. It makes me think of a dusty library maybe a little stuffy in that sense, and then somehow also fresh and soapy at the same time. So there's a lot of a dichotomy of the way it was built, that it's not just, even though I've got the dry down on my right hand, even though it is sort of a linear scent, it doesn't really transition and change a lot. The lemon and all that just kind of dies off, and the sandalwood and the ambergris kind of just takes over a little bit. You're always left with that violet. But even though, so it don't take you on this, magical changing journey that some fragrances do, I still do believe it is very masterfully built in a way that it, at the same time of being fresh, soapy, clean, and sporty, it's also a little bit mature, stuffy, dusty, at the same time a little bit salty and aquatic. And so it really does have this nice, pyramid structure of the base, the mid, and the top that kind of all at the same time takes you on a little bit of a fragrance journey. The perfumers that are listed is Olivier Creed and, of course, Pierre Bourdon. And so if you don't know the history, Pierre Bourdon is now getting his well-deserved accolades as one of the greatest perfumers in history. He created things such as Green Irish Tweed, Millesime Imperial, Iralfa, several of the classic bangers throughout the 80s and 90s for Creed. If it was a big hit, he's the man that perfumed it. Then even going on from there, for Yves Saint Laurent, Kouros, for Mont Blanc, he did Individuel, which Creed then turned around and did, what was it? Santal 33. Was that Creed or Original Santal? That's what it was. Original Santal. And it was a copy of Mont Blanc Individuel. And it was kind of a punch in the gut to Pierre Bourdon, I guess, for leaving them, because his first real big hit after leaving Creed was Cool Water for Davidoff. But, for several years, Olivier Creed was the only one listed as the perfumer for Green Irish Tweed, for Iralfa, for Millesime Imperial. And then it wasn't until a long time later where they started giving the credit to the actual perfumer. I don't know if Olivier Creed has ever perfumed anything. He may have. He did not perfume those Pierre Bourdon creations, though. Those were all solely his. He picked them. He may have picked which one he wanted to go with. If Pierre Bourdon had, 30 different, slightly different iterations of Green Irish Tweed or of whatever, he might have said, yeah, let's go with this one. Does that make him the perfumer? Absolutely not. You can call him the creative director, maybe. But it's very interesting on this particular fragrance. He come into Pierre Bourdon's, workspace and, saw this kind of vial sitting on his desk and picked it up and smelled it and kind of got mad at him. Why have you not presented this to me yet? And basically just took it and stole it and went and put out Green Irish Tweed. It is a masterpiece. It is a great smelling fragrance. I would call it a 10 out of 10. It has the DNA that has been copied many times. The only thing that's ever come close to it, in my opinion, was Cool Water. Cool Water is a much more synthetic and a little bit more oceanic lean, where this is higher quality and a little bit more of a green lean. Aspen by Cody was the one that I wore the most in the 90s, mainly because it was a lot cheaper, more affordable. It was a good cheap take on this DNA, but nothing really comes close to the way it makes you feel to wear this fragrance. I know there's other clone houses that have made decent attempts at this fragrance, and some may have even got it spot on, but there's something about wearing green Irish Tweed that just makes you feel good. It makes you feel, I like to wear this fragrance to church. I like to wear it on an important business trip, things of that nature. As far as how it performs, projection is really good on it. It's going to leap off of you. Folks are going to smell it. Sillage is good. You're going to leave a nice scent trail. But the actual longevity performance of it in the new variations, as everybody says, it's not near as good as it ought to be for the money. If you was to pay retail for this and you was to pay $300 or $400 for a bottle, and it not be beast mode. To me, if I'm paying that much money for a fragrance, it ought to be something that I don't have to respray. It ought to be something that'll last me 12 hours. If I wear this on my clothes, I should be able to wear it. I should be able to smell it every time I pull out a jacket, or if it's a dress shirt that I'm having dry cleaned, I'm going to wear a few times. Every time I pull it out, I should smell it. And either not have to spray it on the shirt again, or want to because it's still there and you don't want to spray something on top of it. And so that lacks a little bit. But as far as the fragrance goes, it's a 10 out of 10. It's a masterpiece by Pierre Bourdon. It's one of my favorite scent DNAs. It's the scent DNA of my childhood. Again, I never wore this. Didn't even know about it in my childhood. I knew about Cool Water. Couldn't afford Cool Water. We'd go to the mall, we'd spray ourselves with Cool Water, and then we'd go to the movies, or go drive around on Friday night or whatever. But I could go to Walmart and buy a bottle of Aspen by Cody. And so that is the fragrance DNA that is based on, is up on this. So it is a fragrance DNA that means a lot to me personally. I think it can be worn by pretty much anybody of any age. If you have too much of a nostalgic, take on it, then maybe it's too outdated for you. I have a strong nostalgic take on it. I still enjoy wearing it. I think any age can wear it. It probably does lend itself more to 30 and up. It's not one of these new super sweet fragrances. There's not much of a sweetness there other than the lemon and all that, but it absolutely smells great. And again, 10 out of 10 masterpiece. A little bit of a long rambling thing. If you would like for me to go and do an in-depth video on the House of Creed, maybe even do kind of a book review on that, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about this fragrance in the House of Creed. Like the video, share, comment. Appreciate all of our new subscribers. The channel's really been growing lately. Make sure notifications are turned on. That way you're notified every time we upload this fragrance content. Till we see you down the road, I say God bless. Frag on, frag fan.